I'm at CPAC to meet a lot of good conservatives. I'm here to talk about the conservative principles that built a great nation and also push a piece of legislation that I have called No More Bailouts.
Tell me more about that.
Well, we've seen bailouts last year. You know, we started out with the Troubled Asset Relief Program, and the companies that received the $350 billion, the first, what they call the first tranche, they were worth $319 billion on September 2nd. Today, they're worth $86 billion. So after we sunk all that money into them, they've done nothing but lost value. It would have been better, I think, to let them go through the process that we already have in place called bankruptcy, because we would have equally distributed those shares out there and we would have had a chance to do something with the bad paperwork in that fashion. We could protect other businesses as well, but no more bailouts. Let's go back to the fundamentals that caused the problem in the economy and fix that. Let's fix the market rules. Let's shore up the value of the dollar. Let's reform our taxes by lowering them. Let's renew our regulations by making them more comfortable for businesses and so that we're welcoming capital. The free market system works. It has worked to build a strong economy, the #1 economy in the world. And today in Washington, with the Democrats in the House and Senate and in the White House, they're thinking we got to change to a socialist system. Well, the free market is what built a great economy. This is going to, the proposals today, the bailouts, the heavier regulation, it's going to slow down our economy. It's going to be difficult for us to, in the future, start a business or get the job we want. So what I'm doing in Congress today is trying to make sure that people understand free markets work, that we have got to stop all these bailouts because there's some fundamental things that we could do that don't cost us any money that could create the kind of economy where we can start a business, get a job, make our version of the American dream come true.
And when did you introduce the bill?
Introduced the bill this week. It's called No More Bailouts. It's the Tiahrt bill, T-I-A-H-R-T. I'm from Kansas, so you can call my office. And in fact, get on my website at tiahrt.gov, and you can sign up a survey and you can support No More Bailouts.
Perfect, we'll do it.
All right.
One more question for you. You are a possible candidate for the U.S. Senate, or you are a candidate?
I'm a candidate for the United States Senate in Kansas. I'm replacing Sam Brownback, who's leaving that seat to run for governor. I have a primary, could use a little help out there. We do, we're a small state with big problems, and we need somebody who's courageous enough to make a stand for the free market system, for the principles that built a strong economy, for those things that allowed us to make our dreams come true in the past. We can move that direction forward, but we have to have somebody who's courageous enough when issues come up to stop the wheels of the Senate and focus the eyes of the nation on these issues that are stifling our growth. The heavy regulation, the things that don't make sense, ignoring the need to revise mark-to-market, ignoring that we need to stabilize the dollar. Those things are pretty fundamental. We could do it without spending a lot of money, and it would get us back to a thriving economy.
You look at the nation right now, the Congress, the issues the Congress faces. Is it the economy that's the biggest challenge for us? Is it?
Right now, I think what we're facing is the loss of freedom, the loss of civil liberties. And this government, in the Democrats in the House and Senate and the White House, every piece of legislation they've proposed has lessened our freedom, whether it's in the marketplace or whether it's us as individuals. Right now, the Transportation Security Agency is proposing that private aircraft have to have the same security requirements as commercial aircraft. Think of this, a private person going out and getting in his private vehicle has to get a federal agent's approval before he can go anywhere. I mean, and they're basing it on weight. And the weight that they're using is the same as a van. So it may be, if you follow that logic, that the federal government want to approve before we pull onto a public street, because some terrorists could possibly do something with a van. I mean, we have to come back to our common sense principles of freedom. Freedom in the marketplace, freedom in as individuals, freedom in where we live and work. And that's what I'm talking about in Kansas, and people are responding to that message. Freedom does work, free markets do work, and if we want the kind of country where our kids can start a business or get a job, we need to push those valued principles that people fought and died for, and not allow it to be inch by inch taken away from us.
What is it? What's the meaning for organizations like American Future Fund or other conservative organizations? What's their importance going through the next 2 years of this Congress, the next 4 years of President Obama's administration? What kind of role do organizations like this play?
There's a great success story to be told, and it's not being picked up by the national media. They don't want to talk about how freedom and the principles that built freedom work. They want to talk about big government. They are liberals, and liberals want to have more and more control over our own lives. Issues like cap and trade, where they want to protect us from a bad environment, it's really not about carbon dioxide in the air. It's really about controlling our lives and our pocketbooks. taking more taxes and controlling who gets power and when they get it. It's going to be very crushing on the poor, for example. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about how if we allow free markets to work, we'll find good places to get energy to people that need it at an inexpensive cost. We could become energy independent in less than a decade if we allowed the free market system to work. But instead, we have the government standing in the way. Somebody has to take that message forward, because we're not going to hear it on MSNBC. We're not going to hear it on ABC. We're not going to hear it on CNN. We've got to hear it from clear voices out here in the future. So thank you for what you're doing. Thanks for carrying the message about freedom, because freedom, free markets work.
One last question, where do folks out there find you?
You can find me in Kansas. Go to my campaign website at toddtiahrt.com. It's TODDTIAHRT.com. It'll show up out there. Get on my website. Come help me in Kansas. If I can get in the Senate, I have the courage to stop the wheels when we need to talk about these very important freedom principles, like a free market system, like our own individual liberty. And that's why I want you to get involved in my campaign. And thanks for spreading the word.